In a big organization, you always have 20% of the people doing 3 times more than their share of work. It's always like this. Protect these people.
At any given time across the globe, there's a crisis unfolding, whether it's a war or natural disaster or public health emergency. All those events have major effects that can lead to a parallel economic crisis. When that happens, Kristalina Georgieva is the person called in. Kristalina is the managing director of the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. It's an organization known as the economic and financial safeguard for 190 countries. No matter the situation, Kristalina and her team of economists are ready to intervene to keep a government from financial collapse. For the past 3 years, employees at the IMF have been in non-stop crisis mode, tackling everything from pandemics to armed conflicts. That kind of ongoing pressure can lead anyone to a breaking point. Here's how Kristalina keeps a crisis team from burning out. Well, how do you manage an organization with that many countries and that many cultures?
What is so important for a multicultural organization is to create fairness through processes. So you can have a voice in decision making, and you know that you have that voice. Also, make sure that people interact with each other professionally, but they also interact socially. Now, at the IMF, we have a magic bullet. It is called acting at the time of crisis. We are at our best when the world is in its worst, because our mission is to step up and help protect macroeconomic and financial stability. In other words, protect the world from unraveling. This, you have no idea how mobilizing is this sense of responsibility that what we do matters to people's lives. It is virtually a difference between life and death for some. And that mobilization is so overwhelming that we put aside differences when this call comes.
Since the start of the pandemic, the workload of the IMF staff has been so intense that the organization experienced a 30% loss of its employees. According to the IMF, the organization was able to replenish those positions and even expand an additional 10%. Today, the financial institution boasts about 4,000 employees in the US and an additional 900 across the globe. Now Kristalina is focused on taking steps to ease the stress put on her team when they're in times of crisis. How do you make sure that people aren't burning out? I can imagine that mission and urgency could be the kind of thing that eventually someone says, I've done it for too long, this isn't for me, I have to go do something else. How do you keep people engaged?
And this is such an important question. We did have burnouts over the last years. In 3 years, we have injected $1 trillion in reserves and liquidity. This is a lot of money for a short period of time. And we did it without increasing our staff. So we did 3 things. 1, discipline of doing what is a must, not what is good to do. 2, asking people to take blocks of time off. 3, pay attention to where the burnouts happen. In a big organization, you always have 20% of the people doing 3 times more than their share of work. It's always like this. Protect these people. We also got more attuned to what did COVID bring. COVID actually brought mental illness. So we have adopted a new, more proactive approach to dealing with mental illness. Encourage people not to feel ashamed. It is really, really important. And convey to people that we are in this together. If you need help, you can ask for help, and help will come through. But let me be honest, it's hard to do. Translating all this into messages to people can only be done when you think of your macro decisions having micro consequences. So I went to the troops talking about my own experience, my relatives, myself being stressed. Encourage people not to feel ashamed. That happens.
Kristalina knows firsthand what the micro impact is like. She's the first managing director to come from a developing nation. Kristalina was born in Bulgaria in 1953 under communist rule, and when her home country faced economic turmoil at the end of the Cold War, the IMF intervened. Could you talk about how your childhood, how the way that you grew up affects how you manage or how you run the fund? Does it have an impact?
Huge impact. First, my family. I was very fortunate to have loving parents. When they would be in deepest trouble, my father got sick, they would sing. So I would be coming home and I would hear them singing through the open window. And they taught me, think positively, even in tough times. And then I lived on the other side of the Iron Curtain, as you probably know. I tell everybody, Cold War. On my side, it was really cold. We had a very bad economic policy in place that held the country back. What I learned is that bad policies have a price on ordinary people, that getting to good policies may be painful, but then you reap off the benefits. And I saw it when we joined the European Union. My country is now a very, very different place. My country had a very tough IMF program in the 90s.
You think you have more empathy then, or more understanding when you're doing policies? It is not just at the policy level. So you can say, here's what it's like on the ground because I felt it on the ground myself.
Yes. I remember getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to queue to buy milk for my daughter. I know what scarcity means. Hyperinflation wiped out all our savings, life savings, within weeks. And when I talk to people, they know I am not speaking out of an ivory towel. I speak out of reality.
Kristalina's journey to the IMF is a true testament to her talent and grit. Those are two things she says are important for any professional or leader planning their next step. You must have people all the time who come to you and say, how do I get ahead? What should I do? What kind of career advice do you give people?
Well, number one, believe in yourself. If anybody was to tell me when I was living on the other side of the Iron Curtain that I'll be the managing director of the IMF, I would have laughed my heads off. Believe that you can get to a place where you flourish, your talents are fully deployed. Second, to be very blunt, bust your butt. That doesn't fall from the sky. You have to work really hard. I have always stepped up to whatever challenge is presented, and I would make this decision like this. 3 o'clock in the morning, my phone in Washington, D.C. rings. The Prime Minister of Bulgaria is calling me, asking me to go and be the Bulgarian commissioner in Brussels, on a different continent, in a different country. By 8 o'clock in the morning, I made my decision. In 1 week, I was there. Maybe you're taking some risk. Do it. Because only if you stretch yourself, you step up, only then you know what is your full potential. And third, be open to other ideas and always be willing to bring even more talented people to work with you. Best of luck. I can tell you, getting to a job like mine means that you really have to buckle up.
Here's what stood out to me. The remedy for burnout is a combination of several things. Number one, prioritize your own well-being. Know what brings you energy, what drains you, and when you're about to hit that limit. Next, find a reliable team, a group of people you can trust to have your back when things get tough. And most importantly, have passion for what you're doing. In jobs that are managing crises, from health workers to emergency responders and international relief organizations, it can be hard to find a moment to step away. But when you understand that there's a true purpose behind all that stress, it gets a little bit easier to get through it. I dig deeper into my interview with Kristalina on the This Is Working podcast. We'll break down how to lead a multicultural and even multi-continental team. Meanwhile, tell me, what can leaders do to help their workforces avoid burnout? You can let me know in the comments.